A researcher reports that the average salary of assistant professors is more than $42,000. A sample of 30 assistant professors has a mean salary of $43,260. At 5% significance, test the claim that assistant professors earn more than $42,000 a year. The standard deviation of the population is $5,230. So because we're dealing with the standard deviation of the population, we know that this is going to end up being a z-test. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to state our null hypothesis, which we know is always going to be mu equals. In this case, they're basing everything off of this number here, the 42,000. So that's going to be mu is equal to 42,000. But the claim that they're making is that it's more than 42,000, which would mean that the average salary, my mu value, is actually more than $42,000. Well, in this case, remember with significance testing, we're assuming that this statement is true. Any extremely large values, larger than 42,000, would make the null hypothesis not true. We could reject it and thus support the alternative. Well, in this particular case, this is a one-sided test because we're dealing with an inequality of less than or greater than. And since we want large values here, my entire 5% is going to get cut off the top end, which means from here to here, the area under the curve is 0.95. I use my inverse norm, and I'm going to find a critical value of 1.64. That's going to separate my non-critical from my critical region. The claim here is that the professors make more than $42,000. So that's what we're going to be testing in a second. In this case, that's the alternative hypothesis. Remember, we always test the null. So for us to be able to support this claim, we're going to have to reject the null hypothesis. I'm going to go get my test statistic. I'm going to plug in the x bar value that I got, the sample from the 30 assistant professors. I'm going to subtract my mu, and I'm going to divide it by my standard error, which is my standard deviation divided by my sample size, the square root of my sample size. And I'm going to get a test statistic of positive 1.31, which is going to fall just slightly shy of that 1.64 critical. So this is going to end up falling in the non-critical region. So that being said, we're going to fail to reject the null. Remember, we're always testing the null. So since we fail to reject it, mu might actually be $42,000. The professors might actually make $42,000. So because there's not enough information here, this $43,260 is not significantly higher than the $42,000. This information does not support the idea that the professors earn more than $42,000. Because it's in the non-critical region, it does not support this idea. Because we were not able to reject the null, we could not support